Live from the ancient city of Ibadan, this is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. It is Thursday, May 21st, 2026, and I am Samson Balogun, giving you a warm welcome to the show.
And I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. Stay right where you are because we have a packed broadcast ahead of you this morning. Welcome on board.
All right, we launched today with a massive security clampdown in Oyo State. Governor Seyi Makinde has officially drawn a line in the sand, signing a sweeping security executive order while throwing everything at the rescue operation for the victims abducted in Orire local government. Can this aggressive state response finally crush the criminal networks, or it is too little, too late?
After we unpack that heavy story, we'll take the weather report to see what skies look like across the country, right before we bring you a comprehensive breakdown of the major local and global headlines in Daybreak News.
And from there, the spotlight shifts to our newspaper headlines, where we will be tackling and tracking the front pages of your favorite newspapers, cutting through the editorial noise to show you what's truly driving the national conversation this morning.
Then at the top of the hour, we explore our explosive big story today. We're pulling back the curtain on Nigerian politics with godfatherism and camp party leadership and attempt at stability or political disruption. We're asking the hard questions about the puppet masters of democracy. And helping us to code these in the studio is renowned public affairs analyst Afalami.
And of course, we couldn't let you go without jumping into the digital playground for Trend Watch, where we'll debate over the viral madness dominating your timeline this morning.
Definitely. This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television.
Stay with us as we've got a lot in store for you this morning.
Right.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Samson.
It's really nice to be. Thursday edition usually feels different anyway.
Exactly.
But then, let's talk about Governor Seyi Makinde's first executive order of 2026, and that was signed yesterday. It was meant to be amid fanfare, but that was not meant to be because of the recent occurrence in Oyo State, especially in Orire local government.
Right.
And that's on the backdrop of the incessant kidnappings you have witnessed in Oyo State, and most recently that of Orire local government, with over 40 people kidnapped, students, teachers, principal, all getting, especially the young kid that was being backed by a mother, one of the teachers who were kidnapped. That was one major reason that made the executive governor of Oyo State think about what else can we do to make sure that security operatives in Oyo State are on high alert to nip further actions of kidnappers in the board before it even happens, and to also aid the intelligence gathering. He signed the executive order, and it's a directive meant to regulate associations, groups, and organizations involved in security and allied services in Oyo State. That, for me, is long overdue. We've got different security outfits in Oyo State, and you begin to wonder what exactly are their roles. Are they duplicating roles? Should there be a regulatory body? Should there be a form of a touch of the state government in all of this to make sure that we don't just reduce them to tools during elections? We make sure that they are put to good use. And are there going to be stipends, supply of ammunitions to make sure that lives and properties of Oyo State citizens and residents are actually, safe? And also, there are insinuations that some of them they have been reduced to what you call escorts for dignitaries, especially on big occasions. That's all some of them do. You see them securing party venues, individuals. And then there are so many other things to be checked. If you look at Oyo State, for example, you have the Agbekoya, you have Komsai, you have the Odua People's Congress. In fact, they have about 2 or 3 factions of them. A lot of them here and there. They are littered all around the Oyo State. And, if you go to Okeogun axis, you have this forest guard. Some of them are not even paid by the government. They are just rendering services, some of them pro bono, and some of them are actually getting paid by some local governments and some individuals who value lives and properties in those areas. Yeah. And in some places too, you would have vigilantes. Some of them are even hunters, so to speak. They are mostly in these bushes and hunting for animals, but then when security crisis arise, they actually swoop in to get some things done. These set of bodies, they really have to be centralized. Yeah. There has to be some sort of support from the state government. And in dire situations like this, I think this is the right step in the right direction by the Oyo State Governor.
Exactly, and of course I think it's a good one, because I also watched the video. I think he had a press statement yesterday, and then people were asking to say, okay, how long would this go, in terms of securing the safe release of those people, because at the end of the day, that's what people want, because we've seen videos, gory, videos that people do not even want to see. And then I even saw a video this morning where I saw that, the classroom, one of the classrooms, we saw, school bags, food packs, and that the whole place looked deserted. And then even after they rescue these people, I'm very sure that a lot of parents would not want to send their kids, back to that school because of the location and things like that. So I think, the government's coming out now to give an executive order that will monitor the local operatives. I think it's a good one. And I think he also mentioned that, he preached against ethnic profiling, to say, okay, do not do that. It's not going to help us to solve anything. Your duty is to safeguard the lives of every single person in this state. It doesn't matter their ethnicity. It doesn't matter what language they speak, in as much as they live in this state, they deserve to be protected. And then even though some persons are saying, okay, maybe because the governor declared his ambition for the presidency, and maybe that's why, insecurity, is biting really hard in the state. And that's an argument, whether they are right or not. They have come out with that argument to say, maybe if he didn't declare, his intention to run for presidency, we will be experiencing this in your state. But beyond that, I think, he's been serious about the fact that he wants to rescue these people, safely back to their families. And I think we need to be on top of our game. And I remember that even the IGP was in this state, he was at the scene. He came down to check, and then maybe that will count for something as well. Because at the end of the day, the state might not have that might to actually, solve all of this, and then keep it to the barest minimum, and even solve it, totally. Maybe we still need this, the help of the federal government, in a way. And I also think he mentioned the fact that, the aircraft that, his administration purchased has arrived Nigeria, and of course, I think it's in Lagos as we speak now, so they will make room for it to come down to your state so they can begin to use it to actually, tackle all of these things, basically.
Well, it's quite a challenge that, when it comes to security, Nigerians have had to bear the consequences of situations where the state government had to be proactive, but unfortunately they didn't do that. And it all boils down to the political will to get some things done. And I think some things will necessitate some actions, and that is exactly what we saw yesterday. That the governor decided to get some things done because of what happened. I just hope that going into the future, we don't have to take decisions like this just because lives are being wasted or kidnapped. People are being kidnapped. And some people talked about what advantage does this new executive order by the Oyo State Governor, what does it mean for the Oyo State people in terms of security? Well, it brings a better coordination of security activities in the states that I mentioned earlier. But to further amplify that, it can help our government properly monitor and coordinate the activities of local security groups to avoid clashes, confusion, and duplication of duties. Oftentimes, we have seen people go head-to-head, toe-to-toe, because they are trying to mark territory. Oh, we are here before you, or we are more sophisticated, or we are recognized by the state government, and we have probably our commander has a relationship with the governor. All these things will be put to bed, will be put to rest, because now you all know that you are working for the greater good, securing lives and properties of the Oyo State people. And also, the governor has at the back of his mind that he now has an army of vigilantes and security outfits that can aid the responsibility and, of course, help the police and the Nigerian army to get some things done. And I have always said this, that this is where state policing comes in. Okay, if you are local, every crime is local, because a crime cannot be committed at state level if not committed at at the local level. They start from zones, wards, units, and then you can now talk about a statewide crisis. But if you know exactly where these people are, you know people who are close to them, you get intelligence way before they even happen. And that can be, even if they do not have the capacity, I mean these vigilantes and some other security bodies, they don't have the capacity to apprehend, they can easily relay the information to maybe the police or the Nigerian man and say, oh, look, in this particular environment, there might likely be this kind of situation if we fail to get it done. Of course, that will also help the state government in reducing the level of crime committed in the state. And of course, it will help improve accountability and stronger public safety, support for conventional security agencies, which I mentioned earlier, reduction of criminal infiltration. That is something that has really gone unnoticed in recent times. And that for me is one of the fears I have for Southwestern states. Southwest, I mean, Nigeria as a country, but Southwest is way, it's a more difficult situation for Southwest states because the borders are they are too porous. And the way you have influx of people into the Southwest and some other parts of the country is alarming. Every night, every day, you see trailers coming from a certain part of the country, loading people with no clear direction of what they are going or coming to the southwestern part of the country to do. And nobody is really checking them. However, there is free movement in Nigeria. There's this freedom of you relocating from one place to the other without being harassed or being profiled ethnically, just like the governor mentioned recently. Right. But the truth is, I can't just wake up this morning and then decide to move to a certain part of the country with no clear course, no direction, just moving because I want to move for the sake of moving. There has to be a clear direction. Where are you going? Do you even have reasons to go to this place? And what are you going to do? Is there a soft landing for you where you are going? These are things you should be checking, because you get to some places in the country and you realize that some people are even homeless. They are sleeping anywhere and anytime. And that for me is more or less like a step towards breeding insecurity in the state. If you have people who have high propensity of committing crime, they have no houses they are living in, no clear employment or job they are doing, this for me will of course create crimes in that particular environment. And also, if you want to talk about what this could mean in terms of the disadvantages, okay, this could create a bureaucratic challenge, especially for the state government. Yes, it is nice to sign these papers and say, oh, we have an executive order. How do you bring them together? And that is one. Two, how do you now register all of them to know that, oh, the vigilantes group of Nigeria VGN has so number of personnel. The ComSci, for example, has so number of personnel. There are so number of weapons with them. How do you put all of that together without wasting time, especially in a time where your state is already in need of support for the existing military and paramilitary bodies in the country. Right. And the fear of political control, just like I earlier mentioned when we opened the conversation, will also be a very tough one. I listened to a voice note recently, and I think it was the commander of one of these security bodies in Oyo State, talking to their members, sent a voice note to their group chat and said, look, come and meet me at so rally, and there will be financial inducement. Whether you're a member of the PDP or the APC, just come there. We want you there in your numbers. That for me is a level of political control. You are bringing people together who are meant originally to be security personnel, but then you are bringing them together for the sake of for political reasons. That for me will be a challenge in the future of how to control them, to tame them, not to be political tools in the hands of a political class, and also not to be a means of oppression to the Oyo State people. It's something that really needs to be addressed in this documentation from the beginning, so that when the time comes, we will not have to be going back and forth, because it is one thing to create, to work on the Constitution. It is another thing to be able to amend it as time goes on, because it's always nice to sign these documents, but to amend later on might be a little bit difficult, especially when people who benefit are already benefiting immensely. And correcting what is wrong might just be a difficult task, just like we are seeing in the larger scale in the Nigerian constitution right now, where some part of the constitution benefits some people more than the other, and to amend it will be a very difficult task. So I just believe that we are moving towards the right direction, especially when it comes to security. But then these areas that are as good as ungoverned in your state and in Nigeria, where there is a limited or no presence of security personnel, especially on the outskirts, border towns, they really need to be addressed. What is the role of the Amotekun Corps in all of this? Do we have to send those who are in the city centers to those areas to secure lives and properties? Do we have to recruit more people? Or maybe this recently signed executive order can address that, where some of them are absorbed into the existing paramilitary agency in Oyo State to fill the void that is currently open, and then we can see how well Oyo State can do in terms of security.
Right, so let me start from the constitutions. I think we've been on it. I think we came back to it last year, and then even some Nigerians were invited to be a part of the draft, a part of the review, and then some persons were calling for, let's just put an end to the entire constitution and draft a new one. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure we'll be able to do that, because it's not even about the constitution now, it's about those who interpret it. If you have a brand new constitution, and then those who are expected to interpret what they want to interpret, it's still a problem. So even as we want to work on the constitution, we must also work on the judiciary as well. And then going to the issue of state police now, I think we've been on it for a while now. I think about last year, the president even mentioned it, that, he wants these people who are on top of it to actually fasten things up to ensure that we have this, even though some governors are actually not interested in this state police. I don't know the reasons why, but they prefer to remain the way they are now. Maybe because they think it's going to affect their activities, or maybe their security vote or things like that. But majorly, I think we need state police in this country, which is going to help us get to the bottom of the matter. And then I saw a post yesterday. I think the DHQ released a statement, and they said Shey Makinde wrong for calling Oyo school attack terrorist operation, and so they are saying it's not a terrorist attack. So if it's not a terrorist attack, then you have to tell us what it was, because if you cannot identify what the problem is, it becomes difficult to solve it. So if you say it's not a terrorist attack, so those people who attacked that school, who are they? So you must be able to tell us. Maybe you have done your investigation, because for you to come out to say it's not a terrorist attack, it means you have done certain investigations, and you can tell us that, okay, these people came from this particular area, we've seen something like this before, they have attacked a state before, they have attacked a school before, and it's not safe to say they are terrorists. Because if we cannot identify the problem, it becomes difficult to solve it. And I want to believe that maybe the state government will also react to this, to say, okay, they are not terrorists, they are this, they are that. And at a time when Nigeria itself is going through a lot of terrorist attacks across the country, not just the southwest now. So if you are telling us that it's not a terrorist attack, you must tell us what it is. So beyond that, let me also talk about Amotekun. I was speaking to someone, and the person said Amotekun was more active, in the early years of his establishment, especially at the late governor of Ondo State, that's Akeredolu. He was very instrumental into the establishment of that sector. And then after his death, a lot of persons have come out to say that that particular outfit has not been active like before. Maybe it's another thing we need to look at. I remember there was a time that the Southwest governors gathered together in the state to actually discuss security challenges. And then I think it was about late last year. And so I'm wondering what they actually discussed, because it's not just about having meetings, it's not just about pumping money into the security operatives, it's about making sure that we see the result. Because somebody said that if care is not taken, another attack might happen, maybe close by or maybe around the state. Because if you have been able to follow the pattern in the last few years, you notice that when these people attack a state, they come back. Why? Because the environment is conducive for them to come back. So why is it so difficult to put measures in place to ensure that if at all these people attack the first time, it will be difficult for them to carry out another successful attack in that particular area? It's a pattern. Look at Plateau State. More than twice. They've attacked that state more than twice. Kwara is another example. You have one case today, another case tomorrow. Borno State. All these states, they've attacked the state not once, not twice. So why do they keep coming back? Is it because the business is lucrative? Is it because of the ransom? Or is it because of the fact that we are unable to put in place the necessary measures that we ensure that they don't come back? And at the point, if you talk about it too much, some people will come out to tell you that, okay, we do not need the help of the Western world. We do not need the help of the US. I can't remember who mentioned it recently now, especially when that ISIS leader was actually, was assassinated recently. And then someone came out to say, oh, we don't need their help. So the more help we take from them, the more we kill these people. They keep coming, they get angry, and things like that. Exactly. And then even a particular person also mentioned something similar, and you begin to wonder, so if at all we cannot do it, can't we take help? I mean, we can take some level of help that will not do us any harm at the end of the day, because it doesn't look like, maybe it looks like it that we can actually solve it on our own, but maybe because of internal sabotage, it's been difficult to actually put this to rest. Because for a country like Nigeria that helps other neighboring countries to solve insecurity, why is it difficult for us to solve our own problems in this country, basically?
Okay, let's listen to the executive governor of Oyo State. Right. He had this to say yesterday while signing the executive order in the presence of the deputy governor of Oyo State, Barrister Bayo Lawal, and of course a host of other people, the new security advisor to the governor of Oyo State. They had a lot to say, but then let's listen to Oyo State governor. We'll be back.
The executive order that I just signed is another step in our commitment to the protection of lives and properties across Oyo State. Security is not the responsibility of government alone. It is a collective duty, and we appreciate the many citizens, associations, and groups who continue to support lawful efforts to keep our communities safe. However, at a time when insecurity has become more sophisticated, coordination, accountability, and proper regulation have become necessary. This executive order is therefore designed to ensure that all groups involved in security-related activities operate within a clear legal and operational framework that supports peace, order, and the rule of law.
All right, welcome back. That was the executive governor of Oyo State reading out his plans and why he had to sign an executive order for coordination, accountability, and these are things we have actually spoken about on the show this morning. Right. Because these are absolutely necessary. There has to be some sort of coordination, a direction. We cannot float different security outfits and then there will be no clear or defined responsibility. I could remember recently when someone was talking about the Peace Corps bill in the Senate and said, look, what exactly are they coming to do differently to what we currently have in our constitution, and that has been stipulated in the rules and objectives of the existing military and paramilitary agencies. What should we do? Should we now, maybe recruit more? Do we have brain drain in that area that people are beginning to? Because you remember recently someone was saying some people in the particular paramilitary agency would after a few years make some money and then they travel abroad. We also have to check the issue of ghost workers in the paramilitary agencies. I'm not saying they exist, but then if we have such a shortage, we have about 400,000 police officers in Nigeria, and then about 100,000 of them are attached to VIPs and police. Talking about politicians as escorts. And recently, the president gave out a directive that no politician should have a police officer attached to him or her. And I think there was a particular senator who said, look, if you take away my police officers, I'll be exposed. And we're also seeing some politicians who really do not care about security. We see them walking around, mixing with people. Some even drive alone. So what are you doing differently that makes you think that without police officers around you, you are exposed. I was checking around, saw about some senators in the U.S. who don't even have security operatives. They go about their daily businesses, driving their own cars, no driver, nothing, and they do not have to fear what security looks like in their country, because they feel like there is an existing structure or system that protects them. Quite unfortunately, I don't think that exists in Nigeria, and that is why even the VIPs are scared of what will happen. And also, this brings me to the area of private security firms. Okay, I know for a fact that in the US there are quite a number of private security firms that carry firearms. And instead of going to the police for protection, just like a politician will go, they will rather hire private security agencies to secure them. They are mostly retired police officers, retired army personnel who actually left, probably left Iraq or left Afghanistan and felt like, well, this is what I know how to do after my tour in Iraq. I don't think I have to retire just like that. They take up responsibilities with private security firms. So if our police officers retire in Nigeria, what exactly do they do? That's a very big question. If members of the Nigerian army, when they retire, what do they do? Because it begs the question. You don't have to be 65 or maybe 50 or 55 before you retire from the army. There are some an average white man would want to retire maybe at 45 or 50 and do something else. They don't want to be attached to one particular place for far too long. And I know that direct short service in Nigeria is about 6 years. So after your direct short service, what exactly do you do after that? For those whose contracts were not renewed or those who chose not to renew their contracts. So for me, I think this is one area we should look at. These past retired people, can we call them back to service and give them responsibilities to also be active? Because at the end of the day, someone who retired as an army personnel goes into probably trade. This is an alien environment. I'm not saying they cannot succeed or excel in that area, but it's alien to them. That's not what they know how to do. Someone that has spent about half his entire lifetime assembling arms and of course giving orders, and is now reduced to sitting in a shop selling soft drinks and some other things. I mean, that for me is alien to such person, and we should look at bringing some of them back into the system, not as full-time employees, but then what exactly can you do to help us at this time? Experience counts in everything you are doing.
You understand the intelligence system better.
Intelligence system better. I'm not saying if you bring in new recruits, you cannot have exceptional personnel, amongst them. I'm just saying that the difference will be clear. Okay, we can recruit more to increase the numbers and of course increase the capacity of our security agencies, while we also engage the old, the retired ones, not too old, who are still very much active and they can still do this job, and of course they are hale and healthy. We can bring them on board and see exactly what we do with them. They can even be instructors to these paramilitary agencies you are trying to bring together. They can be their instructors, their trainers, and teach them how to gather intelligence. Because it's one thing to eventually know how to shoot and know how to assemble firearms. It's another thing to be able to know how to use them when you get to the field of play. Because if you do not know or understand the tactical approach to defense or warfare, the kind of warfare we are going through in Nigeria right now, you might just enter the battlefield and they'll just be nothing more than praise in the hands of these perpetrators. So we need to look at how to train them. And when you want to train them, there's no point bringing in, foreign instructors. We have them in Nigeria. I could remember there was a time that Nigerian Army was, in fact, till now, is being rated as one of the best in Africa, and of course, has top rating around the world. So if we have that much in terms of respect across the world, I think we should. It is time we put that to good use within our own country, restore peace and order, safeguard lives and properties, and make sure that we all find ourselves in a safe place at the end of the day.
Exactly. So let me just link it to the U.S. I think you mentioned this. The Defense Department of the U.S. and then I think Trump came recently and then renamed it and called it the War Department. If you check that department very well, you see that, yes, we have the young ones, the young bloods, but then we have experienced people, especially people in their 70s. They are part of the team. Yes, because experience counts. Just like we mentioned, these people have fought so many wars. Especially
in asymmetric warfare like this, where victims are also together with the perpetrators. You don't even know how to separate them. You can't just waltz in there and start firing. you need experience.
Right, and then it becomes difficult for certain people to reason you that, like they will reason somebody who has spent just 5 years in the army. These people have the experience. What do you want to tell them that they don't know about? And then what we use for coming back to Nigeria now, what we use our retired officers to do majorly is to use them as analysts on national TV, and that's a brilliant idea. They have the experience.
When you fail to pay them their emoluments, they protest. That's also a responsibility now.
And that's another problem. So these people they invite them on national TV. I watch them sometimes, and then they say, oh, they have the expertise to speak on this issue. When they speak, at the end of the day, most of those things, they just say it and then that's the end. We don't see how the Nigerian army, is trying to use the information to better the lives of Nigerians, to improve the security. And that's why we say we talk so much in this country, but then we lack the political will.
Talk so much, do little.
Exactly, we lack the political will, because I've seen certain videos where some soldiers actually released, and then they were giving out valid information that can help us tackle insecurity in some state. They will tell you that they think, oh, this is what we should do, this is what we should do, but at the end of the day, you don't hear about them, and you don't see and that's why a lot of them will rather keep quiet, and they'll say, if I talk now, they might say, let me go and submit your uniform, submit your guns and things like that. So these people are not willing to talk, except for the ones that are very tough, and they say, if you want me to resign, it's not a problem, I will talk, and then after that you can just ask me to go and resign.
Well, if you talk too much, you might get your name badge, tag and your badge removed.
Exactly.
Of course, you return your service weapon.
Exactly.
It's not really a safe space for soldiers who really feel like they are being maltreated, especially those on the battlefield, and then they can't even say a thing. Who will listen to them? And that's why recently when we hosted Dr. Kunle Okola, we're talking about asymmetric warfare in Nigeria and how badly some of these military personnel are being treated on the battlefield. And he mentioned, look, they will have to continue bearing the brunt of the ineptitude of some of their leaders, and the inability of these leaders to get the right things done at the right time. Some of them, as long as they are okay, whatever happens to their subordinates, they really do not care. And that, for me, puts Nigeria in a very difficult situation, a dangerous situation at the end of the day, because you now have people who are meant to renew their contracts and who came in through directional service, and then after 6 years, they feel like, well, I will do better selling tire at gates or mechanic workshops and doing some other businesses. Because one, any job that makes you risk your life, well, every morning when everyone wakes up, you are risking something, okay? But then any job that risks your life that you don't even know if you are coming back home, I think you deserve to be treated like a human being. But unfortunately, we have seen reports recently and complaints by some military personnel. I think one of the reasons Justice Clark is still being held in custody is because he spoke up on behalf of a particular soldier who sent him a DM and talked about
the meal that they were being served.
They were being served. I don't think, sometimes you miss the point totally. When someone cries foul, it's not really about the cry, it's about why he's crying. Okay? But then in Nigeria, we leave the main course and we start pursuing the appetizer. And that for me is a no-brainer. We should not just talk about the issue, but the cause or the root cause of the issue should be addressed. If there was nothing like that in the first place, I don't think a reasonable human being would reach out to a blogger or an influencer to help talk about this particular issue, unless there's something going on in there. What you should have done, instead of creating a whole lot of noise around the military, is to investigate deeply and see why that is being done. Whoever has been given that responsibility to take care of them should be held responsible. But then the people who are actually bearing the brunt are still in danger, while those responsible are walking free. In fact, their shoulder pad is as high as anything you can think of right now. But it's an unfortunate situation, and I do hope that we can get that sorted out as soon as possible.
Right, and I also remember a particular soldier, ex now, I think his name is Soldier Boy. There's a time he came out to say that they buy uniforms, themselves,
even
they buy the boots and things like that. And I remember that the army came out to debunk that, to say nothing like that happened. And a particular lady also came out again to say that what he said is actually true. Now Soldier Boy is into fashion. He's selling maybe wares and things like that. So because what if he doesn't even have the let me say, the capital to start something like that. Maybe he'll be on the street, and then after he was asked to resign and step aside. So majorly, we just need to be very intentional about our nation, basically.
All right, it's a convenient place to leave that topic this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. It is time to help you plan your day this morning. I will take weather reports on this show. And we'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan. What does the weather look like in Ibadan right now? It is currently at 25 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning, it will rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy with humidity at 3%. There will be a promise of showers in Ibadan in the afternoon, with temperature rising to 33 degrees Celsius, but humidity will be as high as 35%. It will continue like that, dripping in Ibadan in the evening as weather drops to 26 degrees Celsius. Promise of showers, humidity rises slightly to 37%, while overnight it will be mostly cloudy. Weather drops slightly to 25 degrees Celsius, and humidity also drops to 24% in the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan, today.
And from Ibadan, we cross to Abeokuta, North Ogun this morning, where then Abeokuta feels like 29 degrees Celsius, and later is expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 6%. And then the afternoon, we have 33 degrees Celsius, showers around 38%. That's massive. In the evening, it drops to 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 24%. And overnight, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, showers around 35%. And that's what we have for Abeokuta North this morning.
All right, a quick talk to Lagos, a neighboring state to Ibadan and Abeokuta. And right now in Lagos, weather is currently at 32 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning, it will rise to it will drop to 29 degrees Celsius later in the morning, and it will be partly cloudy with humidity at 13% right there in Lagos. And by afternoon, rises to 31 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, humidity at 8%. But it will be partly cloudy later in the evening as it drops to 28 degrees Celsius, humidity at 11%. A promise of showers overnight in Lagos as weather drops slightly to 27 degrees Celsius, and humidity will be at 53% in Lagos today.
And from Lagos, we cross to Abuja FCT this morning. That's the Umo Wike. And weather in Abuja feels like 24 degrees Celsius this morning. Later is expected to be around 28 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 5%. In the afternoon, we have 32 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 23%. And in the evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, few showers around 31%. And overnight, it drops to 23 degrees Celsius, showers around 50%. Showers of blessing in FCT today. And that's what we have for Abuja this morning.
All right, away from Abuja, let's still stick to the North Central this morning as we head straight to Suleja in Niger State. As we speak, in Niger State, weather is currently 24 degrees Celsius. It is mostly cloudy, and that might likely be the average for the day. And later in the morning, it rises to 28 degrees Celsius, with humidity at 5%. But then it will be cloudy right there in Niger. And of course, in the afternoon, rises to 32 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, humidity at 10%. There will be few showers in the evening as weather drops to 26 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be at 34%. Overnight, there will be full-scale shower in Suleja as weather drops to 24 degrees Celsius, with humidity rising to 43% right there in Suleja, Niger State today.
And from Suleja, we cross to Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Weather in Port Harcourt this morning feels like 22 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning is expected to be around 26 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 18%. In the afternoon, we have 27 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 24%. And in the evening, it drops to 23 degrees Celsius, showers around 43%. Overnight, it drops to 22 degrees Celsius, foggy around 24%. And that's what we have for Port Harcourt, Rivers this morning.
All right, away from Port Harcourt this morning, let's take this one from Borno State. And that's His Excellency Umar Babangana Zulum State this morning. Right now, weather is currently at 32 degrees Celsius. There might likely be an average of 29 degrees Celsius all through the day, but of course, it is currently partly cloudy in Maiduguri. And later in the morning, rises to 35 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, with zero chance of humidity It will remain partly cloudy in the afternoon as weather rises further to 38 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be at 3%. And in the evening, it drops to 30 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, humidity at 1%. And overnight, it drops again to 28 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy, humidity at 2% right there in Borno, Maiduguri State today.
And from Borno, we cross to Kano Municipal, and that's the final one for this morning. Weather in Kano this morning feels like 31 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning is expected to be around 33 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, we have 37 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 24%. And in the evening, it drops to 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 3%. And overnight, it drops to 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 1%. And that's what we have for Kano this morning.
All right, that's all we can take on weather reports this morning. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast and our Facebook page. You can like and drop your comments at Dominion Broadcast Television. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, it is time to take the news.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful
Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Glad to have you here. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. Ibadan. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed all ministries and extra ministerial departments to deepen the digitalized work processes across government operations and service delivery platforms. Speaking at the International Civil Service Conference 2026 in Abuja, the President, represented by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, said outdated bureaucratic practices can no longer thrive in a technology-driven era. Tinubu urged the public service to embrace faster, transparent and citizen-focused systems as part of ongoing reforms under the administration's renewed hope agenda. The President added that the reforms are already producing measurable results, describing public servants as the engine room of national transformation and key drivers of effective policy implementation. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, said that sustained education and teacher training are important to preventing human trafficking in Nigeria. NAPTIP Director General Binta Bello, represented by Billy Lassie, made this known in Abeokuta during a capacity building workshop for 150 secondary school teachers in Ogun State. She said integrating trafficking content into the school curriculum would help raise awareness and protect children, who account for over 55% of trafficking victims. The workshop is part of a government-backed education project aimed at strengthening anti-trafficking awareness in schools. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has signed Executive Order 001 of 2026 to regulate the registration and operations of vigilante and other community security groups in the state. Makinde said the move is aimed at strengthening security coordination and ensuring all security-related associations operate within a clear legal framework to protect lives and property. He also assured residents that efforts are ongoing in collaboration with security agencies to secure the release of abducted students and teachers in Orire local government area. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Abiodun Aikomo, said all security groups with more than 5 members must register within 72 hours of face sanctions as the order takes immediate effect. In the same vein, Oyo State government has warned residents against spreading unverified security information. State Force report could trigger panic and disrupt ongoing rescue operations. Special Advisor on Security Abayomi Fagbero, in a statement, urged the public to verify security-related information before sharing it and report on the credible threat to relevant authorities. He also warned against ignoring suspicious activities, stressing that delayed report could hinder timely security response. The warning follows false claims of another attack and closure of the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, amid tension over last Friday's terrorist attack in the area. Lagos lawmaker Desmond Elliott has announced his withdrawal from the re-election race for Surulere Constituency 1 in the State House of Assembly. Elliott made the announcement in a viral video, said he was stepping down due to alleged intimidation and restriction of his supporters during the process. The APC lawmaker, who currently represents Surulere 1, was seeking re-election under the ruling party before his withdrawal. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has launched a free health insurance enrollment and medical outreach program for inmates in correctional centers across the FCT. The initiative, which began at the Kuje Medium Security Custodial Center, is expected to benefit over 1,500 inmates and will later extend to Gwagwalada and Suleja facilities. Officials say the program will provide inmates with access to consultations, surgeries, drugs, emergency care, and other essential health services at no cost. The FCTA said the scheme is aimed at expanding universal health coverage and ensuring inclusive health care for all residents under the Renewed Hope agenda. And in business, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has retained the benchmark interest rate at 26%. The CBN Governor, Olayemi Cardoso, announced the decision at the end of the committee's 305th meeting in Abuja, following the 50 basis point cut announced in February 2026 and held at the MPC briefing in November 2025. The committee's action comes as Nigeria's inflation rate recorded a slight increase. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, headline inflation rose to 15.69% in April from 15.38% recorded in March. And in sport, Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell has released separate squads for the Unity Cup and upcoming international friendlies against Poland and Portugal. The Unity Cup squad features a mix of home-based players and experienced foreign-based stars. Nigeria will face Zimbabwe in the semi-final next Tuesday. For the Poland and Portugal friendlies in June, Chell named key players including Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, Alex Iwobi, and Wilfred Ndidi. The squad announcement signals the coach's effort to blend emerging talent with established internationals ahead of the upcoming fixtures. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. And that ends the Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun saying thank you for watching and good morning. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. This is newspaper headlines and analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. And this morning we'll start with New Telegraph with the banner headline that says insecurity rising attacks on schools, NUT threatens strike. Says enough is enough. As NLC warns that nowhere is safe, Abbas calls for timely rescue, precise operation, kidnapping, despicable, condemnable act. And that's coming from Bishop. Of course, the NUT are saying they might go on strike if nothing is done to actually rescue these people out of the dens of the kidnappers. Because the few, when children are safe, and they are at home, is better than them being in school and then being prone to danger. Whether this will maybe help the federal government to hasten things up, I think we'll get to find out in the next few days. But one thing is very important and essential, that we need to get these people out, as fast as possible. And away from that headline, we also have this one that says that Tunji passport issuance delays over with centralized system. Say Nigerian producers 10,000 a booklet per hour. That's a lot. I mean, and of course, if you look at the comment of Nigerians on this particular sector in the country, people have been making really positive comment. I remember there was a time that, he went to a particular office in the country unannounced, and they noticed that some persons were just sitting, there was a long queue, it was taking forever to actually attend to one person on the queue, and then he went there and asked questions and even asked them that what time did you open? What time did you start? And they were saying we started at about after 10 in the morning. Why are you starting around after 10? And they were saying they had to put on the gen, there was no light, things like that. But then you have to give him his flowers. He's been able to do certain things. Of course, we still have a lot to do in that particular sector, but we are seeing the result, basically. And away from that, we also have this one that says Ebola fan activate preventive surveillance at airport. I think that's very, a very good one, because it will help us safeguard the lives of people. Ebola is around, some part of the nation now, and then we must be very careful. We must be very intentional about how we take care of ourselves. And away from that, we also have this one that says party politics. APC aspirant reject result, declaring David Mark's daughter as winner. Let's result written in an Otukpo hotel. I mean, that's a very strong allegation. To say the result was written in an hotel. And of course, SDP crisis, Gabam-led NWC experts Gombe, Adebayo, Agulwe, and others. They are saying we are not going to accept that result that declared David Mark's daughter the winner. They think, it was worked on anyway, and they want another result, basically. And away from that, we also have this one that says, we are not a united nation. My primary goal is to unite Nigeria. And that's coming from Peter Obi. It's okay to make these promises when you are not in power yet. But when you come, I do hope that you understand the peculiarities of this nation, especially the large number of tribes that we have. So if you say you want to unite us, you might begin to look at the areas, the loopholes, or where this government is not doing so well. So if at all, you become president of this nation one day, you'll be able to tackle those areas, basically. And of course, another headline is saying Rivers Guba Fubara meets with Tinubu withdraws from race, says some truth best born quietly. Thanks supporters, pledges to work with whoever emerges party's candidate. Stoye Cole also quit race. It was a rude shock for so many Nigerians yesterday, even though there have been speculations. Especially remember that on the day of the screening was on Saturday, but the governor went there on Sunday, and according to the APC national chairman Watada, mentioned that himself, Ubara, and quite a number of other governors could not show up because of state duties. And then when he went there, its countenance, when it came out of that screening room, a lot of persons were able to interpret it to say that maybe things really did not go well. And then one thing that people also observed is the fact that ideally for all the other aspirants, when they leave the room, the committee of the primaries will escort them as a sign of respect. But for Fubara, he came out alone. OYO, and then they left us saying they drove off, and then even after that they were asking questions. Even Bashir, they were asking him questions to say, are you sure that Fubara will come back and of course get the ticket for APC? But now he decided to step down, and he's saying that it's better to leave some words unsaid, and he's also saying that he decided to step down for the peace of the nation. And I just asking, what will happen to the supporters of Fubara? I don't want to begin to mention their names now. I remember even before the primaries, a lot of them were singing certain songs, just to cheer the governor, up. But now what will happen to his supporters? What will happen to people who actually believe in him? What will happen to Rivers State? But he has come out to say, I did that in the interest of the state, to safeguard the lives of the people. I'd rather not speak about certain things, And he also said, for people who are odds, for people who are angry that he's not going to be contesting, he's appealing to them to please take heart. So good luck to the people of Rivers State. And then one more thing that I also would love to talk about is the fact that people are saying, because it is difficult for Wike to manage somebody like Fubara, and a lot of persons feel Fubara is that calm, doesn't really understand so much about, politics, is not really experienced. For Wike to find it difficult to manage such a man, will Wike be able to manage, another person in that state? Will he be able to manage anyone at all if he was unable to manage somebody like Fubara? Well, never say never. If at all, the person decides to anoint for Rivers State in the winter election, we'll get to find out if Wike will be able to manage anyone in that particular state, which is Rivers State. And away from that, let's cross to another headline that says ADC screens Atiku Ayatollah for presidential ticket. And from that, we cross to another paper, which is Daily Independent. We have a headline that says Atiku unveils a roadmap to confront economic security crisis. ADC screens Atiku Ayatollah Amechi for the presidential ticket. And I remember that I watched a particular interview on national TV a few days ago, and while the interviewer was asking Amechi that, are you willing to be vice president, he almost lost it, actually. He almost lost his temper, and then he kept telling the interviewer, no, stop referring to me as a VP candidate. I did not buy the form of a VP candidate. I bought the presidential form. And they also made reference to Atiku by saying, yes, Atiku has not lost primaries, but then for every primary he won, he lost elections. So basically, he's trying to say he should step down. Having lost elections, multiple times, it's high time, he stepped down for other persons who may just want to contest. And we'll get to find out who's going to be the flag bearer of that party. But if case not taken, that coalition might just crumble in the heights of the Nigerians if care is not taken. And away from that, let's also check this headline that says federal government taps non-formal education to boost youth empowerment and job creation. Excellent move, because if you ask some youth today, the young ones, some of them will tell you they are not interested in education and they just want to learn a trade, they want to learn a skill that will fetch them money. At the end of the day, we have people who do not visit the four walls of the university, and they are controlling a lot. And of course, we still have people who went through education and they are also doing well in life. So really, I think it's not just about the education. The education is good, excellent. I've seen people who could not afford it at the time in their life, and when they had the resources, they went back to school. So whatever it is you want to do, just make sure you do it well. I think that's what matters, basically. Another headline is saying APC primary stakeholders urged Tinubu's intervention in Ekiti North Federal Constituency. Two, the primary is causing a lot. And then I didn't even emphasize this for the APC. But then, maybe in a way, because of the way people move to the party, it was bound to happen. When a party begins to expand beyond normal, I don't think any party has ever had the number of governors that APC is controlling currently as we speak. Yes, PDP at a time when Jonathan tried to contest for the second time had about 20 governors, but not up to what we have in APC, over 30 governors, in APC now, and not just governors, lawmakers, they kept defecting. It was like, I don't know what to call it now. They just kept going, and then, people will have issues, especially in certain states. Before you came, we were here. Where are you coming from? Things like that. So, but good luck to the APC, and of course, I don't know how they'll be able to manage the crisis that will erupt after the primaries. I just mentioned the fact that some persons are saying they will not accept the result of David Mark's daughter. They are saying the result was written in a particular hotel. Good luck to the party on that one. And from Daily Independent, let's cross to the Punch newspaper. And I have the banner line that says primaries Fubara withdraws as APC governors emerge sole aspirant. Well, good luck to Rivers State on that particular one. Another headline is saying coup trial, accused Kone reject military court. You don't want a military court? Okay, but I remember that Falano actually said something about this matter. He said that these people should be court-martialed, and they don't even need to take them to court. They can actually court-martial them. But it depends on what the military will actually decide to do on this matter. But now that Kone is saying, I don't want to go through the army court. Well, good luck to the accused on that one. And another headline is saying, Oyo abduction, Abbas demands rescue as military deploy a jet. That's a good one because we need a jet. We need the aircraft. And even Makinde himself mentioned that the aircraft that was purchased by his administration is already in Nigeria. And of course, I think he's around Lagos now. So maybe they're trying to move it down to the scene where that abduction happened. And away from that, let's also check this headline. That says establish Southwest Security Trust Fund now. We need the security military trust fund. I remember there was a time that the Southwest governors had a meeting and they came together to just tackle insecurity. Maybe they were just trying to prepare for times like this. But then at the end of the meeting, we did not see much that came out of that meeting. So maybe they need to have another meeting to stabilize security in this nation. And from the Punch, we cross to Daily Sun this morning. Which is the final paper, and I have the headline that says that 2027 Jonathan warns of looming danger, says darker days ahead if court continues to determine outcome of elections, Angels' fate on May 26th court ruling. Well, good luck to Jonathan. Don't forget that he also became the presidential candidate of the PDP, and then people are asking questions, what's the fate of Jonathan in this particular election? Well, he might step down for anyone, in the next few days or few months, never say never. This is Nigeria. And another headline this morning is saying the presidency moves to rewrite 26-year telecoms policy, eyes 1.6 trillion naira revenue, 2 million jobs. Well, that's a good move from the presidency. And court decides ADC AP orders registration June 5 as Atiku Amechi Ayatudin gets ADC screening. Good luck to ADC and of course AP. And then another headline is saying Nigeria now produces 10,000 passports per hour, declares the decades of delay ended with a centralized system, and that's coming from the minister. Yes, we are seeing the improvement in that particular sector. We just hope that if at all, he leaves the office in the next few years, the next person that will come will be able to continue that tide and not draw us back again. Basically, there was a time in this nation that some person said the only thing that they know that sector for is to declare public holiday. Maybe things are changing now, basically. And it's a fine place to leave this discussion this morning. Thank you for being a part of Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. We take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to Big Story. Please.
All right, good morning and welcome to The Big Story on Dominion Television, where we take a deeper look into the political conversations shaping our democracy and the national direction. Today we examine a topic that has continued to stir intense debate within Nigeria's political landscape: Godfatherism and party leadership, an attempt at stability or political disruption. Across political parties, influential power brokers often play major roles in candidate emergence, party structure, and electoral strategy. While some believe political godfathers help maintain party unity, stability, and direction, others argue that their influence weakens internal democracy, fuel imposition, and disrupts the true will of party members. As political realignment and succession battles continue ahead of future elections, many Nigerians are asking, is godfatherism protecting political institutions or damaging democratic growth? And to help us unpack and break this down, we are joined by a seasoned public affairs analyst, Afolabi, and I am Samson Balogun. This is The Big Story. Politics in Nigeria has long been shaped not only by elected leaders, but also by influential political figures operating behind the scenes. From candidate endorsement to party supremacy battles, the influence of political godfathers remain a defining feature of the nation's democratic process. So what I see them as experienced political stabilizers who provide structure, mentorship, and strategic direction within political parties. While critics, however, believe godfatherism undermines merit, suppresses internal democracy, and creates loyalty to individuals instead of institutions. As power struggles intensify within major political parties across the country, the conversation has become even more important. Are political godfathers preserving party stability, or are they becoming agents of political disruption? So this morning we explore the realities, the consequences, and the future of party leadership in Nigeria democracy. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. I have the honor of hosting one of the most respected public affairs analysts in the ancient city of Ibadan this morning, and is no other person than Afolabi. Afolabi, good to have you here.
Wonderful to be here. Good to have you. Happy preparation for the new Nigeria. And thank you for watching us, our viewers at home.
Okay, let's talk about issues surrounding internal party democracy in Nigeria, to be precise. And we'll take it to Lagos, take it to Oyo, and so many other states where we have seen wranglings amongst aspirants who felt cheated, who were stylishly schemed out of, as things unfold in some political parties. Yesterday, there was some issues about who got the ticket and who did not. In Lagos yesterday, they had their State House of Assembly primaries, and not quite shocking anyway that Desmond Elliott did not return. Someone else was picked. And before now, we had, the inkling that he might not really get the ticket as regards his involvement in the removal of Obasa as the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Laha. And he came out to say, look, he traveled. He was in South Africa with his wife. He came back. His colleagues gave him a document to sign. He signed. And then it turned out to be an initiation
an
of
indictment.
An indictment, an initiation of proceedings to remove Obasa as Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. The president, who happens to be the national leader, and the president, commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, national leader of the APC, restored Obasa, called everyone involved and said, look, I give you 24 to 48 hours. You must restore Obasa as Speaker of Lagos State. And that, for me,
alone.
Okay, but for some reasons, Desmond Elliott has not returned. But some people who were actively involved in all of that, some of them returned. They got their ticket back. But Obasa is obviously not going back to the Lagos State House of Assembly. He has secured his ticket to run for federal reps, Agege, federal constituency. But Desmond Elliott, who belonged to who belongs to the same constituency as the Chief of Staff to the President, Honorable Amila, former Speaker of the House of Reps, now as a chosen candidate, who now is the candidate of the APC. Desmond Elliott has been schemed out. I would love us to see where, because a lot of things happened. At the point he said he was going to, contest and then win the ticket. Yesterday at the venue he said he has officially withdrawn, and there was a report after that said, look, he's been unreasonable, that he lost, and now said he's no longer. Let's listen to Desmond Elliott himself before I bring Afolami on board on this.
And of course, in all zones, they've been intimidating and stopping us. I want to officially announce my withdrawal from this particular race. This is my word. If you go outside, those are my people outside, and they've not, please show them outside. They've not been allowed. So I am officially announcing my withdrawal from this race. Good luck. Thank you, and God bless you.
What would you make of what happened yesterday, and how would you define godfatherism within Nigeria's political ecosystem?
Well, like you rightly mentioned in your introduction to the very good topic that you've chosen today, I would say that this is a display of godfatherism in Nigeria. They have they play the two roles. They play the roles of stabilizing the political terrain and also the destructive of the political system. They play a role that, when you don't have a mentor, you tend not to know how best to operate when you get to governance. It is very good at the level of campaigning, at the level of aspiring to be an elective person, to go into the elective post. Many people come out without a godfather to say, when I get there, I'll do this, I'll do that. But when you get to the seat, you find it very difficult to see that this seat is not just for you, or for what you have as an ambition, or what you have as a policy, or what you have as a principle, being a principal person, to say that when I get there, I will smoke, I will not womanize, I will not even attend parties, I will not visit religious organization. I'll be there on my own to do what the people like. But when you get there, you find it difficult to see that, yes, there is nothing you can do but to dance to the tune of some people who have been on ground, who have stationed themselves to say, my brother, come. If you don't dance to our tune, you tend not to get your way. You may not find it difficult to make your principles or your all that you have written down as your agenda, to come up successfully. And so it tends to be the need for a godfather in the political system that will guide somebody that is experienced, that have been there before, that has a wider coverage in terms of leadership and control. They can say, my brother, do it this way, let's do it this way. Why can't you bring this person in? Let's see if this person can work out in this manner. So that they will be like the think tank. They be the think tank. They constitute a very, very, very nucleus circle, but very important. Like we see in Lagos, the GA, those kind of group that you see, you may be looking at them as being very old, but they've been long in this decision making,
and they make decisions.
Those decisions have stabilized the political system in Lagos State and in so many other states like that. But we see when you talk about being toxic, that is when they become something else.
At what point does party leadership? You just mentioned toxicity. At what point does party leadership become a tool for manipulation, destruction, and control?
When the definition of power, absolute power, absolutely come into play. When the man in charge as the godfather tends to become the decider of so many things.
The alpha and omega.
The alpha and omega, the controller of the governor in charge, want to direct the affair of the person that he has chosen to be his mentee.
So it's not bad to be a godfather and select a candidate.
It's not bad.
According to you, what's bad is controlling even after you get to the office.
Yes, controlling.
Trying to decide what happens in the office.
Yes, too much of control. It's not bad to control. It's bad to be controlled and without being checked. If you have chosen me to be your mentee.
So let's get it straight. Is it about checks and balances absolute control?
Checks and balances. Absolute control is when there is no checks and balances. When there is no checks and balances, there is absolute control. The man sees himself as the God, the semi-God. That is why we call them Godfather. He sees himself as the God, and he decides. So the man, we have seen a case where a governor won an election and goes straight to these people and prostrates. You know.
Are you talking about Kogi State?
Well, it's not only in Kogi State. It happened in Osun State. It happens in Oyo State. I late Chief Adayakala won the ticket and go back to Molete and prostrate to the Alaafin of Molete to say that thank you, Baba.
That was the kingmaker at the time.
That is also part of what we are talking about here. And these are many more as happened even in Lagos State. The man in Lagos State that is not in the man in the affair of the entire Nigeria have been in that seat before in Lagos, and still in the affair of the seat. So that is where we find it difficult to be able to accept the totality who a godfather should be.
Shouldn't there be someone that brings control, that brings stability, and that decides, of course, take decisions that favors the people? In terms of, I want to cite an instance. There's a template. Some say there's the Lagos template, right? And if there's anyone that doesn't want to follow the Lagos template, you will not be considered for the seat of governor in Lagos. So, isn't that a way of charting a developmental path for a state and staying true to it by controlling who gets on that seat?
As beautiful as the Lagos template is, how easy is that template? How favorable is the template to those who are operating the template? We've seen that of former Governor Raudish Fachola, who was once the governor of that state. We all saw the way he directed the affair of the state. Even after leaving the state, he's nowhere to be found. Have you seen him on all these stories I'm talking about? Does he have a follower? Can Governor Fachola come out and say the entire Lagos state, okay, let's say Surulere local government and Itiri Aguda and the likes are under his domain? It's not what, because he was only chosen without a follower. He was only chosen without having a disciple. He was only chosen, and then somebody is behind the camera directing his affair. He was only chosen as a loyal person to the person that chose him.
So are you saying technocrats are brought on board to benefit from a structure already established by some people?
That's just what we are talking about here. And you see, I have no problem with godfatherism. I only have problem when they become toxic, uncontrollable, too much of power, decider, and becoming the devil unknown to many people. You know, when like we are now seeing, the way the politics is being played right now is telling us that Nigeria is being shifted to another place. We are moving into an era where godfatherism is going to take their place in full capacity. That is where the Desmond Elliot case is a case of godfatherism.
As he has benefited. He's been there 3 times.
He has benefited until he has issue with his godfather. He might still be there till now. He might still be getting. He might have even gotten the second ticket, the fourth ticket right now. If he's still in good rapport with his godfather, because his godfather came up boldly on a press conference to talk about the many.
A politician truly survive without a godfather in the Nigerian political ecosystem.
In the present political ecosystem that we are right now, like those names that have been rolling out, they are not without a godfather. All of them, I can beat my chest for that. All of them, we have them in Oyo State. Somebody was never contesting at all. His name has never been mentioned and has gotten the ticket.
So are you saying if you are too vibrant, you might not get the nod from these godfathers? Because you might be a problem at the end of the day.
If you pose to be too vibrant,
because you might be a problem at the end of the day.
If you pose to be too vibrant, pose to know it all, pose to be too intelligent, pose to be too smart for them, then you will not get their nod.
Okay, something happened in Ibadan yesterday, and it calls for concern. And I would love us to see that particular video of a former member of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Olusegun Olaleye, Radical. He was seen, satirically, some people will say he turned himself to a town crier, just like you mentioned before the show. But then he did something that so many people didn't even think someone like him would do. Olusegun Olaleye, Radical, was seen. Well, let's watch that video. We'll be back.
sí. Èmi àkọ́tí ẹ̀rí ní ẹlẹ́sọ̀ yìí rè. Mo fi ohun àṣẹ sọ̀rọ̀. Ìwọ sọ̀rọ̀ bá ò ní tí ìjọba lọ́yọ̀ ṣètò. Sàrámà ní ò ní jẹ́ gómìnà lọ́yọ̀ ṣe. Ò ní sọ lórí ilé ẹgbẹ́ yìí. Ní 2027, ò ní sọ lórí ìwà gbọ́nà ni o. Gbogbo ẹgbẹ́rẹ́ òdìbò náà. Agbára wọ̀ndú, agbára wọ̀lú, agbára fà. Gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ òdìbò náà. Láti ṣe àkọrú, láti fi ṣẹ́jọ́ yẹ. Ọkọ̀ kọ́. Lórúkọ Jésù, ọkọ̀ ṣe. Ìṣàlá, ọkọ̀ ṣe. Sọ̀rọ̀ ní. Ó níjọba ṣe. Ìjọba ìṣàlá yẹ ṣe. Ó ní ibẹ̀. Lọ́sẹ̀ ọjọ́ ìṣàlá náà. Ó ká lójú kẹsẹ̀ àti ọjọ́ mẹ́fọ́lá kì í kú. Ó ní ibẹ̀. Wọ́n yóò bí ìyànjẹ́. Tó ṣe wọn ní ẹgbẹ́. Alẹ́rù o, má jẹ́ kí sábà lágbára gbà.
In politics, they say there is no permanent enemy, no permanent friends, only permanent interest. And if you get to a stage where a respected politician in Ibadan North local government decides to resort to this means, it means that the relationship has broken down to some extent. Now, he's one of those who you would call, if you are looking for a strong aspirant or a candidate in Ibadan North local government.
Sure.
Quite unfortunately, did not get the tickets. Maybe because they feel is way too strong and might not really bend to the new order in the Oyo State APC. So, he was skimmed out, just like some other people in some other local governments. In Egbeda Onora, Akinola Akinjide, Kazim Akinjide, told these people never to go to any of the primary grounds, that he knows that he was never going to win because the system has been rigged against him and the party already knew what they wanted to do, so there will be no point for them to go there. And that they actually stayed away from the primary grounds. But in this situation, I have a concern, and that for me is something that the Oyo State APC really needs to look at. Okay, at the time when a list came out, they said it was a leak, that someone just cooked something up and then dropped the list. But if you look at the current set of people on these lists right now,
They are matching up.
They are matching up with what we saw at that time. So does it mean that they already knew, even before now they knew what they were doing, and they kept selling forms, nomination forms to aspirants who unknowingly or unwittingly kept buying these forms, and then it was just a waste of time, resources, and in fact...
And energy.
And energy.
You talk about the Lagos template the other time, and I was trying to tell you that yes, the Lagos template meant to work very well, and many people will not see how favorable the Lagos template look like, how painful it is to some members of the party, how wasteful it becomes to members who have invested so much. I know of Leke Piton, of the former commissioner for health in Lagos State. He once also vied for the governorship seat. He bought the ticket, mobilized, and so many things. But he lost. He lost out woefully that his name never rings bells again in Lagos State.
Let me corroborate your facts. A video dropped the day before yesterday, late at night. That was around 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning of yesterday. And one of the most vibrant aspirants of the APC for the seat of governor in Lagos State, that is Dr. Samuel Mawuyo, Jose SMA Gold, said he told these people, and they were visibly crying, all of them.
Yes.
And said, look, I at this point, we have to step aside and give it to Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, who is the current deputy governor of Lagos State, because I was invited to a place 10 p.m. yesterday. He was saying that yesterday, and I have been told that whatever it is I have done up till this moment, whatever movement I have created, I should put an end to it. And he even asked them to guess who spoke to him on phone, and everyone said the Jagaban himself. And he just laughed and said, look, the president called me and said, right now it is the turn of Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat. And since the creation of Lagos State,
they have somebody sitting on the ground and deciding who becomes this, who becomes that. To Oyo State, they have a particular person. Once you have a particular person, and it becomes, they now shifted the particular person up, and right now everybody is crying. In Ogun State, they already have a design. Is either it is for the North Ogun or South Ogun, either Northwest or South or Southwest or Northeast. They have a way of shifting it. It does not apply to the people in Oyo State. It's even coming new. People in Oyo State are known to going to the poll, primary, everybody, or you go through delegates and you get your, the delegate voting will decide. This time around, when you look at Olaleye Radical making his evangelism campaign painfully.
How dangerous is this act of his?
Very dangerous
for him,
brother,
especially in the near future.
I have said it many times on many platforms that politics is both physical and spiritual. An example of politics that is spiritual is that of the Kogi State, where the former governor Abubakar Audu went to the poll, decided for himself, voted himself in, and getting back home and died.
It was himself and James Faleke
of James Faleke.
Ikeja local
James Faleke was representing Lagos State at that time, and he's to be his deputy. After that was what changed the dynamics of politics in
that was what brought Yaya Bello.
That was what. But Yaya Bello is already campaign. Is already vying on SDP on a particular platform entirely. But because he has gone through APC before primary and he came second, and that constitution then said in case of death, the first runner up becomes the chosen person, and that was what gave Yaya Bello the opportunity.
That really affected James Faleke at that time.
He fought to become the governor immediately, but
because they had the same joint ticket.
They had not been sworn in. The election has just been done. It has not been read. It has not been counted. There was no time for announcement. When the bad incident.
But constitutionally, James Faleke was never a candidate.
No, he was never a candidate.
He was a deputy.
He was a deputy.
He had no right.
He has no right. He has no right, and that was what happened. And that tells you that this politics you're talking about is not just physical; it's also spiritual. And if you want to fight it, you must have both strength. And that is where I will fault Honorable Radical for what he has done. Yes, he might see it as a way of showing his aggression, showing his pain, showing whatever he thinks he wants to show. Even after leaving the party secretariat, he left for the Olubado Palace and shouted at the point of the Olubado Palace and tell the KBC to know what is going on, and tell the KBC that he has been cheated, he has been dragged out, he has been this, he has been that. This is a man who has been in that State of Assembly before now. And I tell you, you should know better. You should know better about the party you have formed alliance with.
Did he say too much?
He did too much. He says too much. I expect him to have been matured more than this. Yes, he may be sending out some message, but I tell you, it is not ideal at a time like this. The particular reason for putting out delegates is to reduce the cost of primaries, and as well give members a chance to do. But at the same time, when they come up with the censor that you will be using censors to decide, you should know in your mind to decide for a censor candidate are not just the members. They are the people in the hierarchy. They are the people in the highest team, highest rate of the party. They are the people that you will not even be there when they will have sorted out everything. It was not only our brother from that stepped down in Lagos yesterday. Jando also stepped down. He has also gather his people. He has moved Lagos for Lagos. It's not just a daydream something. He has been doing this for about 8 years to 12 years from now. He has been at a point. He even bought the ticket. He still show his zeal to say he want to contest with these people, with the incumbent person that may come on board. But I tell you, at a point, with pain in his heart, he has to resign. He did that maturity, and people clap. I mean, was very painful. People still, clap for him applaud him to say, well, you have shown a sportsmanship spirit, and telling him that there is still space for you for the next coming time. You are still very young.
Let's look at the last few years in the APC, especially in Lagos. Suddenly, some people have gone silent, despite how loud their ambitions were at that time. You could remember Jimmy Agbaje. Jando, for example, also was very loud at that time. Femi Pedro also came out at the time, and all of a sudden, they are not, where is Obane Koro? These are people who stood on the opposing end of things in the Lagos politics. But now, most of them are either now aligning with the APC in that state, or they are even not saying anything at all.
When you understand the politics played by the president, then you should understand how best to play with him. This is what is really going on. Immediately the president stepped in power, I understand that this is Tinubu who loves censorship. He has done it before. He did it for the lives of Abike Dabiri. They got that ticket on the point of censorship. They never added the primary. It was just option A for line up at the back of the. So if you're lining up at my back and you are leaving that of my of something, I will know that yes, you're not for me. You are for something. So if I won the election or I lose, I already capturing your face to say yes, you are against me. You are not for me. So that alone tells the kind of spirit, the kind of politics this person play. And that is what is really playing out in Ogun State. The sitting senator lost to
he's been skimmed out.
Before then, he has already been skimmed out. He has been seeing the green light and the red.
There was a stakeholder meeting with which he was locked out.
He was locked out. He has been seeing the red flag that this man may not come back, and that was even saying it out that we had to scheme somebody for him to come in. And this is a man who had applauded Dakwabiodu so much when he got the ticket to say that he's a person that he really adores. He has brought him back. Dakwabiodu was his team member when he was a governor, and that he has felt that he will be coming back for the second time. And all his members, all his team, I know of one of his team who is also contesting for House of Rep. He announced that all his members should boycott the primaries. That his election is not more important than the life of his members. So this is where godfatherism is becoming too toxic for people to be able to accommodate. I will not want to say that godfatherism is not good, but where it is unchecked, where the power becomes too powerful, where the man becomes too big to be controlled, because they want to tell you that they invested so much. They want to tell you that they don't care about the less privileged. They don't look at the masses anymore. They look at about their self-interest. Like people will say, politics is about interest. They look about their self-interest, and that is what keeps them going. That is what matters to them most than any other thing. And that is the pain Nigerians are going through. And in the course of putting up politics before any other thing, we are failing in our security aspect. We are failing in our educational system. We are failing in our health system. We are failing in our relationship with others. We are failing in our homes that is breaking right now. We are failing on our social media platforms that is not well coordinated. We are failing on our youth wing that needs support to grow in their small, medium enterprises business. We are failing in so many ways because we so much take the politics as nobody want to do. They don't like hearing the word "do or die." They are the one that campaign against the do or die politics. But right now, what we are seeing, I don't know. Maybe we say is do and die later. Okay,
but that's another term, coined by Afolabi. But then, shortly before we go, just in 30 seconds, the politics right now can Nigerian democracy truly mature to an extent where political power is not concentrated in the hands of a few people, like we are saying, godfatherism?
Nigerian politics could mature if it is not put in the hands of few people, if it is allowed to play the way it should play, if it is played in a way where me and you can go to the poll, mobilize our persons, and ask them to decide who they really want to represent them. But the way and manner we are playing it, I'm afraid of tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow will say.
Okay, Falami, thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
You, brother.
It has been a really wonderful session with you, eye-opening too. And it has been a thought-provoking conversation on internal democracy and political influence. Many appreciation to my guest, Afolabi, for sharing his perspectives and insights on this important national issue. The conversation does not end here, because the future of Nigeria's democracy will depend largely on whether political institutions become stronger than individual interests. Thank you for staying with us on The Big Story on Dominion Television. I am Samson Balogun. Stay informed and join us again for another edition of The Big Story tomorrow. But of course, we'll go on a short break now as we bring you Trend Watch afterwards. We'll be back.